Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the T.O.A podcast. I am your host, Onvermel. To my right, we have Zacta. Zacta, we'd like to say hi to the lovely people.
Hi, I'm thrilled to be here if I wasn't so tired.
That indeed. And to my left, we have Ek. Ek, would you care to even try and speaking to the lovely people? Say something.
Lovely people, you're looking lovely, I guess.
Ooh, he's spying on you now.
We do
Interesting.
assume.
We do assume. So, today, ladies and gentlemen, um, you know, okay, we would, well, oh wow, this. I had a way to word this, and I just completely stumbled. We're going to be talking about purism and Lego mocking. You may be asking, what does that mean? Well, to you laymen's, to the well, there's like generally an average 8 people listening to the podcast right now consistently. So to the like
Classy
to the two
folk.
laymen's, to the two laymen's who don't quite understand what purism means, is basically how much of a snobby purist are you when you build? Like, do you customize parts? Do you use other brands of bricks for your Lego?
Do you use
That's
illegal
ridiculous.
connection points?
That's not purism. That doesn't count. That's a whole different ballpark. But basically, you know, painting, chopping stuff up, using mega blocks, that sort of stuff. Like where, or do you use only 100% pure Lego um uh items, products? Now, I can say, basically, level number one of not being a purist is basically using non-Lego string on boats. However, I don't know any person who would be that so much of a purist where they only use like I only use real Lego string on my sailing boats. That'd be impressive. Don't get me wrong.
There are some people who do that, but I think it's more of a I just don't want to buy string and cut it up. I'm just going to limit myself to using original string. Or some people just don't literally think about using other strings. Like, oh, there's Lego string. I guess that's all I can use.
That's actually a pretty decent way of looking at it, as like the idea of not realizing there is other stuff you can use. Because us growing up, pardon me, just a little bit of gas. Just us growing up, we may have had Mega Blocks and Shifty and obviously and such, but despite us using Mega in our games back then, we never really technically mocked with like when we got into mocking, we never used it, and we always had a disdain. Even when we played with it as kids, we had a disdain towards Mega Blocks. So
They were inferior in every conceivable way.
I mean, yes, that's just a given, but we never like were disappointed. Like we were, I would say we were kind of happy with our old Mega Castle and such. Like it was
That
fun.
castle was kind of cool. The Viking boat they had was kind of cool, but kind of. And it was so bloody fragile and just yeah, fragile. Like things would fall apart easily. The clutch was terrible.
Yeah, the lower quality standards is definitely one reason why typically Lego purists and a lot of people. That's the way I think Lego purism generally exists because, well, the quality of other brands typically just aren't good and the compatibility just isn't great. Now, that being said, I do currently have a couple old Mega Block swords on minifigs. I still have those there. However, weapons are an interesting case into when it comes down to Lego purism, because as many or anyone who's been on the Lego online atmosphere, or like in that general community knows, brick arms, brick warriors, and all that. There are literally markets dedicated specifically to getting more unique weapons and armor to Lego minifigs. Now, that is like I've never been annoyed. I've never been too like a bunch of peers where I won't use that sort of stuff. Now, I typically only use the weapons rather than like what's called like the helmets and armor and such. I usually don't do use those too much, but that's more so me. But I know some people who like live and breathe off of brick warriors and brick arm stuff, where it's like all the minifigs are just decked out with it.
Sounds like the classier version of fig barfing.
I would say I wouldn't call that classier. I would call that lazier version of fig barfing.
It's kind of like D&D players just wanting to make minifigs. I would kind of almost put it at it because there's definitely a lot of fantasy.
Oh, okay. At least with the okay, definitely with the I would say the medieval fantasy people definitely like that. You can definitely see like I mean like also just the products that they create are very similar in that, and also like for that sort of stuff. any like the custom prints from that. I've never bought a custom printed like minifig part or even brick. I think the only custom bricks I own are like engraved 1x8 bricks, but those are more of a uh I don't use those in mocks. Let's just say that. Those aren't for mocking, those are more for um what would you say this for? Um Showing off, just saying you got this, saying you were there. They're souvenirs.
Swag.
Souvenirs. Souvenirs and swag, that's what they are. Now, that being said, we have customized parts a great many, mostly in Bionicle, but not exclusively because I would say I've had a lot of castle figs in later years who've gone more customized. The amount of oh,
What are you on?
no,
The
goodness,
amount
good
of
job. Woo!
customizing of Lego to us three T.O.A brothers is usually limited to Bionicle masks and weapons and minifig items. Often the same weapons type stuff.
That is true. I mean, when it comes down to minifigs, um, for me, mostly when it comes down to minifig customization, I'm mostly just torso stickers or decals, which is very basic. You know, it's just basically paint it off on a piece of paper and glue it on.
I've definitely gone through phases, and again, it's usually weapons or masks, but I would feel that Bionicle is definitely the more prominent, where I'm more leaning towards modifications for the simple fact that Bionicle had more limitations in pieces and variants of colors. Like masks often came in one color.
Yeah, there's a reason why masks are like the main thing that we are willing to paint. And let's be honest, at this point, like 50% of the masks that didn't come in black, we have one painted black. I'm pretty sure at this point, it's pretty close to 50.
Everything looks good in black.
And black paint's also really good to get an accurate color that matches Lego, which is the worst part about painting.
And black is very versatile.
Black is black is black. There's no shades of black. It's like you can't get a perfect red match or yellow or green or whatever. But black is black.
I mean, you can if you go for more, I would think, actual like modeling paint. That are meant
Ha
for...
ha ha! Yeah, right. We just use spray paint.
Oh yeah, that's the thing. We just use spray paint, which works perfectly fine for its own needs. Don't get us wrong.
Only the finest
Or-
paint available.
No. We don't use spray paint. We also use Sharpies a fair bit too. But
Sometimes to touch up the spray painted mask when it wears off a little bit. Oh, my black mask is showing a bit of red underneath. Pull out the old Sharpie.
But I actually have one person's mask who is like a spray painted mask and then it has a Sharpie like visor underneath it. So 2 levels of customization. And
Sometimes you could take a Sharpie to a mask and now it's 2 colors. So it's like there's a silver mask, but some of the ridges on it, you take a black Sharpie to, so now it's cooler looking.
now I will say, so it's like it definitely feels like on a overall that Bionicle we are more lenient. Like we paint masks and chopping up. Like I know you guys, I believe both, or at least Zach, I know you have a chopped up mask of stealth, and I don't know if anyone else.
I have 2
I
chopped
do.
up masks
Okay.
of stealth. I have chopped up a piece to make a mask. I've chopped up weapons. I've actually even broken some limbs to get extra balls and because the limb looked cool.
See, I have some chopped up. So actually, my sig fig, my self mock Onvermel, like my physical representation, of me, his weapon is a chopped up sword from Tao Nuva.
shaved up sword.
It's half gone. It's
It's
chopped up.
modified.
And not only that, then it's painted silver. Okay, not the one the original model has painted silver. The one you guys see on this podcast, that's my secondary self mock model, which also
Still has the same sword chopped up.
actually all 3 of the models I made for us 3 all have a chopped up weapon. That was
They're all
intentional.
T.O.A weapons too.
Very intentional. So,
It's gonna be hard to chop off a new Nuva weapon.
oh, I'm gonna try though. I'm gonna try.
We're gonna dull that drill real good.
Pohatu's claw at least would look kind of odd.
That would just look dumb.
It would look interesting.
hook.
It was just gonna look dumb if you had just the one. So
You could do something with Kopagas, it just wouldn't really look a lot different.
there's a reason why I only have the 3 chopped up, and I don't think I'm gonna be doing any more.
What, you didn't want a boomerang for Powadu?
Like he's already been a boomerang player. I can't copycat Gen 2. But so
But you can make it look better.
It's
Ah,
smaller.
what
Oh wait,
It's
that's just
big.
Gen 1, sorry.
I was gonna say Pod 2 Gen 2 had pretty good looking boomerangs though. I don't think you can really make them look much better. But going back on topic with customizing Lego. So Bionicle also is like, we'll chop up parts. We have used broken parts quite often. And then we've also painted a lot of parts. And I have chopped up, capes and such for Bionicle. And I have used elastic bands. Not necessarily always normal, like not necessarily just Lego elastic bands, but I have used regular just outside elastic bands on Bionicle before, which I'm not sure how purism that is, but
I've had some broken Roshki limbs, and then I chopped up a couple to make more because I found they were actually quite useful in the way I used them.
Yeah, using broken pieces. That's actually another section of purism that I'm curious how many other people. Because like, as kids, we broke parts. It was just a fact of life. We were rough-ish enough with our toys that some Lego pieces just ended up breaking. And for a lot of cases, we've actually found uses for some of these broken parts. Sometimes they're just more useful. I don't know if anyone else really uses broken parts, like any other mockers, like unless they're really
I know that
hardcore.
there's the odd person who I've heard of a story where one person actually would create mocks using only broken pieces.
That'd be impressive, actually. I'd love to see that.
Challenge accepted.
I've got a pile of brown plates for you.
And like, I can definitely see the challenging use of broken parts. But the thing about that is, it's still technically Lego in the end, so a purist couldn't really argue. And as long as you're not breaking the part to accomplish it, I think a typical purist would be okay with. Me, I have chopped up parts, but I don't think I've ever straight up broken a part where it's like, I just need this, and I just break it. No, I usually am more fine tuning, chopping, cutting up.
I do find when it comes to customizations, it's pretty much exclusively for characters. I don't give my spaceships a chopped up piece to give it a cool looking wing or something. I don't know. It doesn't come to mind for non-characters.
Yeah, we're not the most we're not that great on like modeling or painting.
Which is why our customization is usually limited to only Bionicles and minifig accessories.
I mean, outside of that, the only really customization that Lego fans usually use a lot is like typically decals on like spaceships or whatnot, or like race cars or such.
Yeah, your made-up stickers, I can see that too. I have dabbled in that a little bit.
Very, very minimally. And then
But it's just a glue stick with paper. It's easily removed.
typically a ship's registry, really. Pretty much.
Yeah.
I guess I've done that a couple times. I've also used stickers from another set somewhere else, which for me is like, wow, that's customizing.
I've done that a couple times, but
It's a lot of mental work.
so we've used broken parts. And then like chopping up like or cutting up like cloth to make made up capes for like your bonkles or minifigs or sailboats and such. And like even then like actually brings up like I actually have used Mega in two places, as I mentioned with the swords, but also there was I got a bit of a tiny like a mask, like a bit of a yard arm and a mask from a Mega Bloks Black Pearl, and the sail worked really great as like a skirt sort of a skirt on a Bionicle, and it was like wow, this worked really well. So like obviously cloth I'm kind of willing to, because it's not a plastic. That's kind of where I draw my line.
I mean, I dabble in using cloth a lot, but that's because I make boats. Big boats. And trying to buy actual sails from like Bricklink or something is ridiculously expensive, and you're a lot more limited in the sizes that you can use.
Yeah, I was going to say at this point usually they're about too small for what you need to make too. So, because like when I know you're chopping up or cutting up sails to make one of my ships, the Medway. I think there's like besides just the triangle size, I think like one of them is about the same size like the large, like the one of the smaller ones about the size like the large, the ones you get in the sets, and then it's got like 12, like it has like almost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, like 16 sails, give or take. And when the small
When most Lego boats have only at most like 6, and they're kind of small, yeah, and when they charge exorbitant amount of prices, yeah, you're gonna go broke quickly.
it's really just not worth it. But none of us have really gone to the point where we mock with like majority of other stuff. We're not like mixing in our Mega Bloks and our system and our Creo because, well, we don't keep any of that trash. Well, I got some pieces here and there more as a joke.
I have a few Mega Bloks pieces that have a great use.
Yeah.
For when I do need to spray paint something, they make a good thing to build it up so I don't have to spray paint any Lego underneath the Lego that I am painting. It's weird, I know.
Well, if you're gonna, want to keep a piece steady, so you need something to attach it to, but you don't want to spray paint Lego bricks because those things might be useful. You never know. So they have
And you don't
uses.
just put the piece on the ground because that can mess up the paint job.
Very, very, very true. Very true. And so definitely with system, like purism is basically more or less down to painting some loose items, but mostly just stickering torsos. Except for the case of that one Bull Knight minifig where this was actually for a contest, so where the category was literally to make like a custom minifig. So it involved glue, custom cloth, Sharpie, a power drill, and spray paint. So, and not just a glue, but glue
We
stick.
pulled out all the stops.
all the juiced and stops.
My most fancy minifig modification was definitely a regular Shadow Knight helmet where I just took hammer, nail, and punched a feather hole at the top of that helmet. I'm quite proud of that, actually.
Dude, that's like
Pliers
hardcore.
were also involved with this thing because you had to get that torso out of the
Oh,
upper
gosh.
part.
Oh, that torso was really, really annoying trying to get out. But if you guys are curious, I did win that category, so it was all worth in the end. So thank you.
You separated the Nexo Knight armor from the minifig torso?
Yeah. Well, axles like the big
Yeah.
one, because the torso underneath is actually glued to it, and that took a lot of work to get out.
Lego's saddest moment.
So I understand why it's there because, minifig arm torsos always have arms on it. So like the one time there isn't, and I can see why, but man, that took a lot of work.
A minifig torso is technically speaking one piece, even though it's really 2 hands, 2 arms, and the body. It's 5 pieces, but it's technically speaking one piece.
You don't get one-armed minifigs. You don't get them with their arms detached. That's what clone brands do, where they have their arms detached.
That's
You've seen the knockoff like superheroes. Like they always come up with like arms
Mhm.
disattached. Like everything's disattached, and it's kind of weird. I have
Licensing
never bought a
reasons.
knockoff minifig. However, looking to my left, you have one-time Ek. I believe for the torso for your beast.
That is correct. I do have intentionally used a knockoff minifig part in a minifig.
It was an X. He was making a bunch of base. He was trying to be as pure as he could, making custom X-Men minifigs.
A sticker just looked pretty bad because my sticker making skills are simple, basic, and
Also, Blueprint doesn't.
yeah, blue just doesn't work. And there was no official torso that worked well, so I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna stoop low and use this fake torso.
Now, the day you can get a real torso, that you can replace it for, we're taking that. So,
Yeah, torsos are far and few between these days, but yeah, I've got a recent-ish torso that's stickered. A certain Jedi apprentice of ours. Mine.
T.O.A. or Congrue?
Paul, you made the sticker.
Oh yeah, that one. Oh yeah, the Hongabelugas, the Hongalugas, the Hongabelugas,
That were lime.
the real big of belugas, a pair of belugas.
Pair of lime belugas.
I spent more time on that sticker than I probably should have. Not gonna lie. I mean, it turned out pretty good in the end. Like I'll say, it turned out well in the
That's
end.
exactly what I was looking for.
It's like I don't generally make custom torsos, but I basically saw something that gave me some inspiration. Like one torso that we just changed the colors to one thing. It was like this worked really well with a little bit of tweaking.
Small tweaking then.
Exactly. But it was basically it was
Passion
not a passion project, but it was asked of me to do it, or I just volunteered. I can't remember how it worked out.
I was
It was
looking
something.
for a torso. I was looking for a torso, and I think was talking to you as I was looking for it, and you were like, "Hey, I could do this," and I didn't want to go through the effort.
Sounds about right. Sounds about right. So, yeah, like outside, like I'm trying to really think outside of minifigs, essentially sailboats, minifigs, and bionicles. If I've ever actually used, what's it called, non-Lego stuff, or did like customization, because like I don't paint Lego Lego bricks and slopes. I don't paint them. I'll paint minifigs like weaponry, maybe a headgear, but 99% of the time, I generally stay away from painting like system. Like I mean, Bionicle. Well, the thing is, when it comes down to minifigs and Bionicle, I'm both building characters, and that seems to be where I go customization. Where I want to build a character. Like if I'm just building a giant spaceship, I'm not going to be painting parts to be like, oh, I need this piece in red. I'm not going to paint it. That's ridiculous. I'm just going to use different pieces.
work your way around it some other way. Either make it a different color or
Make it
use
black.
different pieces. Yes, just make it black.
I'll be honest, red.
Everything black.
So it's like one of those things where it's like, I would never basically grab a knife to like a 4x6 plate to make a 4x5. Essentially, I would never do that.
I have heard though that some people do, and I've seen evidence of it.
Snip a base plate.
That too, but there was one lot of we got from Valley Village where there was just some plates or whatever later, and it was definitely someone chopped up plates to fit into this other thing, and it was terrible. It was horrible. It was awful.
I mean, that was similar to that one time you got those those blue base plates that were like 33 studs or like 17 studs wide or something. Like you could tell that they were cut off.
Well, it was a 32 by 32 that was essentially now made into 32 by 15s. It was kind of weird.
Very weird.
Where would you ever have to make the base plate a different size? That's because you're fitting to a very narrow shelf, and that's just sad.
Probably something like that. I'm assuming. And the thing about like that sort of stuff is I don't know how I feel exactly about people customizing their like to me it gets a bit of a pit in my stomach because my idea is like, well, you can't use that for much else now. However, if you're not going to be breaking it, like if you're building stuff more as an art piece, all right, I might give you that. Like that R2 that was at BrickCon, like the life size like Lego R2. I know you had to chop up plates for that, and I can understand that. It hurts my stomach a little bit to see it, but I kind of get it. I understand.
There's definitely a joy when you can do it without modifying, but I find the thing that really irks me is when people take rarer elements and modify those, like certain Space Police logos to make plain black parts.
Yes, that's another form of modifying
We've
parts
done
we haven't
that,
really
though.
delved in. It's taking away print on parts.
Yeah, well, the thing is, we've done that though. But man, okay.
The McDonald's heads
Yeah.
can go.
The thing is, like, I know, like, you had an insectoid cockpit that you basically brass sewed the print off so you could use it for Space Police 2.
I almost regret that, but no, not really.
Luckily,
Even though you could get it blank, I didn't have one back in the day. I didn't like insectoids. It was just a matter of time before goodbye print.
it also see that didn't look too bad because I'm like, okay, insectoid cockpit, they aren't that sought after. It's not like you'd be like, oh, that's super rare. Why would you do that? Now, I do, if someone's like Space Police 1, taking away a Space Police 1 print, that does hurt a little bit more because it's like, well, Space Police 1's getting up there in the years, it's getting more valuable.
It only came in two
Why?
sets, and they're already expensive.
A Purple Wolf over here has devalued a Bionicle piece greatly by sharpening it, or
Oh.
maybe painted it.
Oh, okay.
Yes, there's paint on a somewhat valuable piece.
That is true. So,
What piece is that?
this isn't necessarily a rare mask, but it is a more valuable mask, is the Trans Orange Cow Cow. Now, I had an extra one, and I always wanted to make it look like it has a black visor. Now, these masks go for about $40, 40 to 90 bucks
I have
almost.
two.
Like, these are
I get-
expensive, sought-after parts, especially if you get them that aren't, like, that scratch. And I had a second one, and I kept wanting to get a third one and do this, but I'm like, screw it, I'm just going to do my second one. So I painted the visor and touched it up with Sharpie. So I know there's, like, at least that one, there'll be some person from 5 years from now might stumble across this podcast and go, what is this maniac doing? Like, he'd hate me. Well, I've seen something worse. I was watching this video recently, and it was a Bionicle person basically making custom Machinui Matoran. You know, kind of like Machinui color schemes, like from Monog too, but making Machinui so he had Takua, you know, with his Day Blue but silver topped, which is fine. However, he made a Tamatoran, which I can't remember his name, but Tamatoran has a black tattoo. Do you know what he did to that black tattoo?
Well, maybe it was a light gray one to begin with.
No, that was definitely a real one. I think he specified like that these things are kind of expensive. Like this video was a bit older, probably when they were slightly more like, you know, we can get them for $40.
We must hunt this person down and steal his mask,
But no,
and then
this-
shoot him.
Okay, but see, this is one of those masks that I'm actually missing is the black tattoo. That goes for $100+, and this person has one, and he partially paints it. And seeing that kind of just hurts my stomach. It's like, no, why? I mean, I get it, but you know, why?
Yeah, I just would have taken a light gray one, painted in black and silver. That would have been much cheaper.
See, though, back in the day, you could have gone like 2 of those for like, you know, $60.
And a light gray one would have cost you 50 cents.
Yeah, but what did the black spray paint look that good?
It can.
Now, maybe the person was just like trolling and not actually, you know, not being real and just posing as black. But like, as far as I can tell, it was an actual real black one. I mean, in fairness, we did paint a gold mask black too. which I would say is the most expensive mask that we had back as kids.
We were young and dumb then.
But gold wasn't useful.
But we've scraped it clean. Though, which makes me wonder, why did we do that?
I don't know. It was your mask. You wanted the black for some reason. Don't look at us. Unless Gerard had it.
I think it may have been me because I wanted to nuance into our breathing, and we didn't know what color was actually supposed to be at that point.
Orlo's brother had a smoke one. We
Or you
knew
just
that was the
didn't
right
have
one.
it.
Yeah, you just
Did
didn't
we
have
have
it.
Yeah,
That's
fair.
why-
That's fair
yes,
enough.
no. How one was missing everything except the Kakama. He had the other 5. It was the most complete set.
Right, yes, you painted black. I got it off you, and then I scraped that paint off. And I'm not gonna lie, other than like the small nooks and crannies, you wouldn't really know that it was painted.
No,
It
it's actually
wasn't
not bad.
rough like
I
the
have
back.
Yeah, it
I
looks a
have-
little rough, but it's actually not that bad
But,
of
like,
a
compared,
off paint job.
like,
It's still noticeable enough because I have it on one of my Matorns, so it's noticeable enough. But
but like compared to your
Yeah.
how, it was not. I didn't like. It just didn't look like that. You looked at the how, you could tell it was scraped clean, pretty clean, easily.
okay, that how was a whole nother. That could someone used a freaking knife to get it off. I think the black.
That was
paint,
me.
I think the black paint also did pick off well enough. Like I think it's like it picked off well enough.
Also, just the color of the actual mask. A solid shiny red will show scuffs a lot more than a sort of the gold whatever, because it's not exactly
it's
a
not
solid
just-
color either.
Oh, that red mask's not just scuffed. It's rough now. It's not smooth at all. Like it's matte red. That mask is destroyed, by the way.
I want a mask like that, but with the black with the hooky orange on it, and give it to Makuta.
So, but yeah,
Shiny.
bringing it back to to purism a little bit. Bringing it back to purism. I have used a Lego piece on a knockoff minifig. I have a knockoff Aquashark minifig with a chrome gold Lego keychain head. Now, I can't back out of that anymore because it's stuck in the helmet. But
A power drill could take it out.
yeah, but I'm not gonna ruin that
Power
helmet.
drills take out
That
a lot.
shifty helmet.
Yeah, it probably would ruin the helmet as much as it would ruin the head. Like,
Oh, the
there's
head's
such
okay. I
it's
think
so
we can
cheap plastic that yeah, you would ruin the helmet getting that head out.
See, the funny thing is, I don't want to ruin a knockoff Lego helmet. However, this Shifty, which was the brand that it at the time was known as, I'm sure it had like 20 names.
Which took years
And
to pick up on the
I-
namesake.
I had this basically. Well, me and Zach had both had like this knockoff little Aquazone set, and I was the only one really of us siblings besides your younger sister who didn't actually have a real Aquazone set. So that was technically my first quote unquote Aquazone set. So as much as I knock clone brands and like make fun of it, there's a soft spot in my heart for that little piece of trash.
Sort of like Galador.
Yeah, well, God was actually Lego, and that guy was fun. The Shifty wasn't necessarily fun, but it's nostalgic. Extremely nostalgic. So, but the thing about purism is, like, I'm not against it, by any means. Like, if people, like, chop off Lego pieces, they paint them to a weird extent, they take an axe to it. I've seen people basically like, beat up parts to get a certain look, especially in Bionicle.
There was a video of someone taking a chainsaw to a barnacle.
Alright.
Solok deserved it.
Yeah, Solok deserved it. The Church of Solok will die. All hail Denmark.
Hail
Denmark. But so it's like, you know what? I don't hate custom. I know some people are like super purist and snobby. However, I think the snobbiness of purism has died off a lot in over years because I'm seeing a lot more people willing to.
Bend the rules.
It really comes down to how much you're willing to spend. Because if you don't have a lot of money to spend, you will Sharpie the heck and you'll make things into trans yellow cockpit somehow. You'll turmeric it or you'll Sharpie it. People will find a way.
Or if you want to make that trans mask into something that's not a trans mask.
I
It is actually quite fun to
and I-
paint galley mask and leave the visor.
And I do know that some people have also turned trans clear cows into trans purple. There were some like earlier back in the Bionicle community, like someone had done that and made like a bunch, so some of those kind of got around. And they're actually apparently quite sought after by people who really want it, because apparently the dyeing jaw, like the dye that worked, did a really good job in making it trans purple. If only I could get one.
Given the fact that there's only one official purple mask, I would actually really want one of those because you can finally have a different variety of mask on a character.
I agree with this statement. I'd love to have more variety of purple masks. But at the same time, I was gonna love that all the purple masks are Prakaris. Yeah. But I will say, where I basically draw the line, like where my purism basically comes out is when people are using Mega Blocks and Lego bricks and like basically the same creations.
Openly together.
Like yeah, openly together. Because at that point it's just like no, just it doesn't look good. It doesn't like the connection doesn't work well, and it's just like very And now most mockers, I'm pretty sure any adult fan of Lego, I almost know of no one who actually does that I'm aware of.
I've
Knowingly.
heard enough stories of people using Mega Block as filler inside stuff, and even that I frown upon. Use Duplo or something.
Oh,
Actually, Duplo
that's
was a pretty smart idea.
that's a tough one. I don't know how I feel about the Mega being used as filler because, like I said, I do not like Mega Blocks. I like making fun of Mega Blocks, and yes, I've used Mega Storage, but like when it comes down to just basic brick, I'm like, I know you're probably short on parts, and this is a lot easier way to fill it, but I'm like, I'd rather have a more solid. Because the thing about Megas, I feel like you would start getting stuff that are just like a little bit off, or would get height or something like. I feel like math.
Even with Lego, when you build big enough, sometimes the math just doesn't seem to quite work anymore. Trust me, I've built some big stuff.
That is true, very true. But yeah, like I said, none of us we all basically have the same level of purism. I would say none of us, I would say, have gone the extra step that the other haven't.
I'd say Purple Wolf is willing to go a step further with some Sharpies of his.
Oh yes, I got these silver and gold like they're not Sharpies, but they're like ink pens. So like like they have like actual paint ink coming out of it. I don't know what to describe them, but they're kind of they're like a pink paint, like a bit of like light paint in like a pen. So it's like running ink, like runny like metallic ink. And I've used that silver and gold to paint Sharpie a lot of stuff. However, the one problem with those is no matter how long you let it dry, the moment you touch it and take your finger off, it goes off with your finger. It doesn't really like stay, so you kind of have to not touch it.
Sometimes spraying it with a clear lacquer helps, but not always. That sometimes ruins the effect a bit.
Well, that helps with basically making sure it doesn't get on your fingers and off. But yeah, because the thing is, it's actually quite shiny. But once you put the lacquer on, then it dulls it. And I was disappointed about that because when I my original self mock, like the first Onvermel mock, I did that to his silver armor, looked super shiny. Then it got a little scuffed up, and then I decided to lacquer over it so it didn't get more scuff. Now
Now it has a permanent scuffed up look to it.
yes, and I mean it's more shiny than the typical pearl silver that Bongle has, and it's got pearls. So I like it now, but it was definitely one of those things where it was like I really wish I could have gone that extra shiny because I love myself some chrome silver. The shinier, the better, sir. The better.
Just sitting here thinking, listening to you people, occurs to me. I'm pretty sure one of the reasons we really did a lot of heavy modifications in our teenage years, coming of age, getting these sharp pocket knives, we were a little knife happy.
Yeah, no.
There was definitely a phase that I was like, ooh, I could chop that sword up.
And I
could
can chop
that
off. I can
basket.
chop this piece. I can chop that piece. Let's be honest. Every time we got a new toy, we want to use it. We learned spray paint. Oh, every boggle piece was off the table. Was on the table for
We
Sharpie.
spray things that should not.
Okay, well
do
we
not work being
spray
painted.
paint.
I have one white limb and one black. Well, now they're both black.
Yeah, no, we really spray painted parts into black that already came in black, just because. Well, in fairness, we didn't buy from Bricklink like a lot of times, so it was more of a practical use. But still,
Yeah, we just didn't buy parts. Like, oh, I have one. Oh, I'm just gonna buy it with Bricklink. No, it's more like, oh, I have one. Oh crap! Now this guy has one leg.
you gotta go to like a good dozen parts painted in black that already came black.
We had a lot of one-limb characters, but oh yeah, we painted things that are probably not best be painted. Sockets and balls do not paint well because they wear down so fast.
The first part I had to paint in black. The first Bongo part I painted does not actually come in black, and that was Toe and Nouveau legs in black. The original self mock on Vermel, that was just basically a basic Toe and Nouveau body. I needed black legs. They did not come in black, but I wanted Toe and Nouveau legs, so I painted them.
He deliberately left the balls unpainted, so
I think someone made the mistake before about not doing that, but I don't know.
definitely that was probably myself or Zakta with one of our I think there was a
That was me.
white Vaki limb, perhaps.
But who?
I think I painted someone's buttocks, and I think I broke one of the balls trying to move the limb because it was so tight. I don't know for sure. I just have a vague memory of this. I also realized
snap off. It just like
Peeled off. it was really weird, but kind of cool. So, but yeah, no, for whatever reason, Bionicle, like, we have way more willingness to customize. But like I said, I think that comes down to that we're making characters. And as you were mentioning, Zach, Bionicle has a lot less variety in parts in certain colors. Like, especially with heads, most head, like, mask or stuff only came in one color. And a lot of, like,
A
legs
lot of
and
the original
armor.
masks came in a good number of colors, but a lot of the later ones didn't.
Good job, good job. As I was saying, also a lot of limbs and feet only came in one color. And I had more than that, but now I don't really remember. Same with weapons. Weapons like came in silver. That was like it.
Or silver.
Or possibly silver. And I
Or pearl gray.
oh yeah that.
Ooh, it's pearl light gray now.
But if only it came in the chrome silver, that would have been excellent today, eh, gentlemen? Chrome silver for the win, eh?
There's only one chrome silver Lego piece, Bionicle
Well,
Lego piece, and it is wonderful.
yeah, but there are other chrome silver parts that are compatible.
And I need to get me, I was going to say a bunch of those, but at least one. I also realized I think my oldest customized painted Lego piece might just be the infected Kakama.
That is highly probable. That was a nice
Either
paint
that
job.
or
It's a
Jake
really
was
nice
over.
paint job. It really does look good.
Not only was when it was first painted green, dark green didn't exist, so it sucked at the time. But once dark green came along, dang it!
I may have to send you a picture of this to put onto the pictures for display's sake, just so people realize how sharp it looks for a rusty old grimy infected mask.
Now that I think about it, it just looks camo.
It is camo.
But I think my oldest painted part is either one of two things. One, a purple horse armor headdress. Now, that's because when the KE2 came out in 2005, all the knights got horses except Danju, the purple one. So Jake got a horse with a nice horse head thing, like, headpiece. Oh, great, Baby Blue. Santa's had one with a horse headpiece. He came in red. Rascal's had one. Oh, look, one more set had. There was 4 knights and there was 4 horses. But flippin' Jaco got 2 of them, so I never got a purple one.
Onvermel here will never ever be happy about that.
Lego, I'm gonna come for you until you give me a purple horse headdress, a proper one, because unfortunately, the paint job I kind of did twice, and now it kind of just doesn't look good. But that was either the first one or the other option that might be the oldest is Vladik's sword, because I had a chrome Lego sword that I basically, well, scraping off, basically just I gave it a black blade and a dark red handle. Honestly, I think the oldest stuff we did were just spray painting stuff silver. Honestly, was like the oldest paint jobs I think that we really had, or at least customization, because like we had broken stuff that, well, okay, no, that's actually wrong. No, the very first technically, non purest thing that I had was Captain Gold's hook, copper hook, because I had
That's
gone
worth a pretty penny
I
now.
had gone a used basically worth less than a penny actually. I had
Oh,
gone
that's a
a
penny, more than
used
a
pirate
cent.
captain minifig, but he didn't have a hook. So when my dad did, he basically got this copper wire and bent it and kind of like stuffed it in his arm, so he actually had a hook. Funny enough, I call him Captain Gold Hook, even though the hook was literally made out of copper. So even though I have proper gray hooks to give him, I actually just keep him with the gold one. Actually, I think I painted more of a coppery. But no, I think that is the very first one. Now, yeah, no, that was the very, very first one. I know, like we've had made up stuff like that before, but yeah, no. I'll definitely say this: when it comes down to other brands, I am a snob. I am a real, like, we're all snobs, but we will dabble in paint. We'll dabble in ink, Sharpie.
Dabble in third-party items such as Brick Arms and Brick Forge and what have
Well,
you.
you've even had custom chrome parts. Like you and me both have some custom chrome stuff because chrome's awesome.
I'm honestly willing to say one of the reasons we're so willing to do things like Brick Arms or Blaster Man was there was genuine quality there. It wasn't like Mega where we know it is inferior.
I can tell you exactly why we do this. I blame our older brother Hal one and the other older brother the Lost Toe. Those two basically they did the stickering torsos first. They did the spray painting first. They did the regular painting first. They did the basically third party weapons first. They did custom sails first, or custom like wings for dragons. Like they basically did everything
Their
first.
custom sales were just paper, though. I took it up to a notch using cloth.
However, they did not use a power drill first. That's Eck. Eck did that first.
Heck, you've turned everything up a notch when it comes to ships.
I.
I need to one up this guy over here.
Speaking of, yes, ships. Oh yeah, geez, one of us three actually has the largest ship in the group, and it's not the shipbuilder, not the master shipbuilder.
It's not the
Weird
master
how that
shipbuilder.
is. However, he did make the sales for me. I paid him for that.
He literally paid me to help him with his
Help
best
me,
and
you
biggest.
did it. I didn't help. You didn't help me. You just did it. I just paid you to do it.
I helped you with your boat. I did the whole sales for you, but I helped you with the boat.
No, you just inspired me with what I just asked for opinions.
You kept looking at my boats.
That doesn't count. Hey, when you build stuff, I give you opinions, but you don't say I
By
helped
helping you with
it.
your boat, I made your sales. That means I helped you with your boat.
He'll be a boat.
It's hard to ignore, inspiration when you're surrounded by it.
Those are some good-looking sales, though.
Oh, they were great. When you decided to bump up your sailing to another notch by putting the stripes on to making you look closer to the sets, mwah, it's beautiful, beautiful. But in conclusion, I really thought like this. I had a more of a thought process about where I was going to go with this, but I guess there really isn't much to say about Lego purism besides the fact that some people are more snobby and some people aren't, and so it's like okay, but. Yeah, I don't know. It's snobs. What can we say?
Yeah, we can't say a whole lot. We're stuck in our ways, but I gotta say, I feel like it's dragging out a little long, so I'm gonna go bring good news to the north.
Okay, but I would say basically what comes down to us being as we're fence sitters. We're not like extreme purists, but we're not like extreme chop this up, paint that up, make everything basically unrecognizable as Lego anymore.
We're sitting on the fence, but it's clear which side our legs are dangling on.
I have one on each side, and it's really hurting my groin. Not gonna lie.
My legs are hanging on the purist side, but my butt's still kind of hanging off onto the customization side.
Well, I'm on the edge of the fence. I gotta pull up my butt. It's not very pain. It's very painful.
Just be happy you're not sitting on a fence post.
I am sitting on the fence post.
I feel sorry for your butt.
My butt thanks you. But so, yeah, I didn't really find a better way to end these things because like that's the thing about podcasts. I don't have like a message at the end or like, and well, folks, in conclusion, this is why I sucked at essays in school. I didn't know how to finish them for one.
And that's why when he said these are all going to be about half an hour, we have had like all of them go over 30 minutes.
That goes when I get to about the 25-minute mark. That's when I get another thought. That's when I get the other thought. The worst thing is I have to be the one to edit these, and every minute, like every 5 minutes, takes 10 minutes to edit. So it's like, I'm doing this to myself. Yeah, customization. It's cool. I'm going to be doing more because I'm going to need to paint some pieces yellow or a piece yellow at some point. Need to do that. I'll never stop using spray paint. It's my bread and butter, and I do need to paint a whole bunch of other stuff for some Bonk Matoran. But yeah, this has been a very kind of boring one. Not gonna lie. Maybe you guys liked it. Maybe not. If you guys want to subscribe, do that. If you want notifications, do that. If you don't,
Want merch, we got none.
we got none. If you don't want to subscribe, don't tell me. I don't want to hear about it. But stay tuned until next time. You'll hear probably more ums and ers and slurs of the words. And I have been your host, Onvermel. This has been the T.O.A. podcast on the Onvermel Report, and we are retiring from the night. Bye.